It was a packed house this morning at the Shaw Conference Centre as hundreds of leaders in our community came together for the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters annual Breakfast with the Guys. Dave Mowat, President and CEO of ATB Financial, you were one of the panelists today talking about the theme, leading change.
You know, there's, and I think a lot of us talked about the little things that we can do. I think all of us feel a little intimidated in standing up for a particular cause, or we're not exactly sure what we can do, but sometimes it's the little systemic things. If you see something, say something, and that probably might have more effect than some kind of great initiative that's hard to get going. So all of us just have to, especially on this issue of family violence, if we see something, we can say something.
I love you reiterated that message up on the podium. We've seen it on signage at sporting events following the tragedy of the Boston Marathon, yet so many of us within our regular circles in life may not be aware that another evil, domestic violence, is lurking right underneath our noses. And I suppose that's why breakfasts like these and conversations that they spur are so important.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the very fact, the broad section of people that were here today, we had Doug Goss, Chancellor of the University, talking about that linkage through to education. I'm a banker, and we can see linkages, how people can get trapped in a situation because of their kind of financial literacy, their financial situation. So it's really trying to find those little systemic kind of value points that we can kind of reduce the number of things that put people into a dangerous situation.
Dave, thanks for playing a part of the breakfast this morning, and thanks for joining us here on Breakfast Television.
Absolutely, thanks you.
As we welcome in one of our own, Michelle McDougall. I can't update you, by the way, just talking to Dave in the commercial break, the Light the Bridge campaign that he's working on for the high-level bridge, they're just about $300,000 short of getting that thing done.
That is near completion. Get going. The last few bulbs need to be lit up, eh?
That's right. Michelle, last year I had the honor of receiving the Linda Steele Media Award here from the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters, and I am equally as proud today to hear that you will be receiving that same award for the work that you've done to address domestic violence in our community.
Ever since I heard the news, humbled, honored, and yet I still want the attention to go back to the women's shelter, which I'm being recognized for helping. It's Lac La Biche, Hope Haven Women's Shelter in Lac La Biche. And my involvement started 8 years ago volunteering at a golf tournament. And I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the cause. They don't receive millions in funding, but they put in millions of hours in volunteer work. So if I can do anything to help spread the word, help raise money, I'm in.
And I think that that's the message that we've heard from community members here today. We hear that women's shelters, specifically one for New Canadians in Edmonton, closed down due to lack of funding. The Alberta flooding wiping out some women's shelters in southern Alberta. They haven't had a chance to reopen. We understand the important role that every citizen plays, regardless of profession, background, or even current status.
Mm-hmm. And it helps too to have the whole community involved. For instance, this particular women's shelter in Lac La Biche services out to St. Paul, down to Edmonton, and up to Fort McMurray. So there's a wide range. And what it does is they treat people with dignity. There's safety. And I've seen, the first time that I visited the shelter in Lac La Biche, Hope Haven, it was a house that was doubling as a daycare. These days, with the money that they've raised, it's a full-fledged escape, and has high security cameras, has healing circle. So they change lives, but they're saving lives as well.
The theme of this morning's breakfast, leading change, the mandate. We can all lead change in our own circles. Michelle, we couldn't be more proud of you, recipient of the 2013 Linda Steele Media Award for your work to eradicate domestic violence in our community. Breakfast Television will be back. A team effort on this Thursday morning. We'll see you in 2 minutes.